Got some people here, so I'll get started. Hope everyone's enjoying lunch so far and enjoying the conference. I'm going to be talking about SchemaVersus, which at its heart is just a fun little space battle game. Hopefully some lighter content for the day. So what is SchemaVerse? A lot of people do have trouble pronouncing it. It is just a play on a schema and universe, SchemaVerse. It's your classic space battle game. So you're going to start with the home planet, and you want to build some ships there, mine that planet for some resources, so you can build more ships, upgrade those ships, and go out and attack everyone else's planet. The normal SchemaVerse is just an everyone versus everyone kind of game. But here we're going to have a 1v1 tournament. So it can be much smaller maps. Now I say 1v1, but what I mean is one username versus one username. If multiple people want to try and play, that's totally fine as well. Battles used to take several days. This version takes 10 minutes. So it's certainly a lot more condensed, a little bit less of a commitment. So I'm hoping that brings a lot more people in. And cheating is definitely encouraged. Now I say it's a space battle game, but the entire game is written into a Postgres database. So to play it, you're a user on the database system itself. You can connect with whatever client you want, whatever language you want, and execute against the schema. So this year, Josh McDougall has created the SQL Cup for us, which will be the award to the winner who wins the ladder. We'll hopefully have a bunch of people playing, and we'll see where that ladder ends up. But that is the prize. It's quite nice. There's 2 in existence, and the other one's going to be given away at DEF CON this year. So main thing I hear is, I can't play this game. I have no idea how to X or Y, or I don't know pgSQL. This is all horrifying. The game is actually fairly simple. If you know how to select, insert, and update, you can play this game. Select start from my ships, insert into my ships, update from my ships. If you don't know any of those commands, well, welcome to PGCon. This is probably a great place to learn how to do some basic SQL. So in the game, there's a lot of things in the back end that actually make it work, but I mean, there's not too many things that you actually really need to care about. There's a couple of important views: your My Player view, your My Ships view, the planets, and the events of what's actually going on. So the My Player is going to store your balance and your fuel. The My Ships is obviously where all your ships are located, all their stats, where they're going, what they're doing, how much health they have, things of that nature. The planets is what you're trying to attack and who currently conquers, who currently holds each planet, which ones are open, where those planets are. And the events, which just kind of lists everything going on in the game. There is some functions in the game that you want to call, be them mine, attack, or repair. Convert fuel. Generally, when you mine from your planets, you create fuel from that, and then you want to convert that fuel over to money. That way you can actually build more ships. It's not a very complex economy in the game. Then there's upgrading. You can upgrade a number of different things about your ship, be it the attack, the range that it can go, the speed it can go. A couple operators that tend to be helpful. All the locations are based off points, so understanding how to get the distance between something or whether or not something is close to another thing is very helpful. Basically, go to that site and have it open at the time. Now, of course, I'm not saying you should bribe a core developer. But again, cheating in this game is encouraged, and I'm a bad programmer. So there is likely ways in this game to win that aren't necessarily the most legitimate means of doing so. I would never suggest that you bribe a core developer. Now, bribing core developers. Donations to charity, very popular here. Alcohol, some would say.
That order might be wrong.
In no particular order. So again, I'm not suggesting at all to bribe core developers, but hypothetically speaking, there's a wonderful list here which should help. Now, I'm also not saying you should try and bribe Chris Brown. He might really want that mug. But hypothetically speaking, bribing Chris Brown, this order might also be slightly wrong. Now, if you do want to compete in this, if you just want to screw around with it, SchemaVerse.com is where the general public round is always taking place. There's also a tutorial there. If you want to compete in this tournament over the next 2 days, please just come find me or email me or really talk to anyone who knows who I am and get them to point them towards me. Just because I have to actually arrange the ladder of who's going to fight who, and et cetera, et cetera. So, now I thought what we'd do is actually show how a round is done. Is Chris Brown here? Did he run off? Might not be here. I might just have to fight myself. That's fine. Now I have a hope in hell of winning. So I have gone ahead and created a little cheat sheet. Sorry, I don't know what resolution this is. Come on. Where is it? There we go. There we go. I'll battle myself. Hate typing in an audience, so I'm just going to copy and paste this. But let's start. So, and I'm just going to look at the my player. Oh, that looks awful. So there's my player, my MD5 hash if you want to get my password. You'll notice there is an error channel. The error channel uses the listen and notify system. So if you just listen on that channel, then you'll get your errors. That one's mine. If you want to see my errors, you would listen on that. Generally, the only thing in this you actually care about during the game is your balance and your fuel reserve. So I'm going to create some ships using everyone's favorite generate series. Actually, let's do this. So ships do have a lot of details. Again, they've got their name there, their current fuel, their current health, what their max speed and what their current speed is, all sorts of different details like that, where they're going, and it's also each ship can hold some state. So if it's attacking something or if it's mining something, you can set that right in. That way you don't have to call those functions repeatedly. The game will just call them for you. So those are all my ships right now. I just created them. And I want them to all mine my home planet. So again, I'm going to go my trusty little cheat sheet here. I don't even know what my home planet is right now, though. So I'm going to take a look. Since I'm a user on this database, every single thing in the system is actually really just based on that session user variable. So it knows which user I am. I convert that to the player ID. And now I'm able to see which planet I actually own by looking at the planet's view. There's the one I'm on right now. So that's where I created all my ships, and that's where they are. Whoops. So now I can either manually write an update statement so that it points to that ID, or I can just write a slightly more complicated update statement that just grabs that for me and puts it in. Schema my ships doesn't exist. Okay, well, that makes sense. All right, well, apparently I'm going to do it the lazier way. Oh, equals. It is ambiguous, isn't it? All right, well, I'll fix this in post. Really? Apparently I hate equal signs.
So do I. Semicolons.
Oh, I got no problem with those. They're tight. So what I've done is I've updated all of my ships to be mining that home planet. Up there, my home planet happened to be ID number 1, so now I'm mining that. Now, again, let's take a look at all those planets. So currently, I'm holding one planet, the other person's holding another planet, and then there's 5 in between that are currently unconquered. So what I'd like to do is actually go conquer one of those planets. Now, luckily, since I'm mining a bunch right now, I should be getting some fuel. Oh, that's not the right one. Great, I got some fuel. I'm totally out of money right now, but I got some fuel at least. So I don't actually need any fuel right now. So I'm just going to convert it all. Come on. And by convert it all, I mean I'm going to use the right function. There we go.
So why don't you just create like 10,000 ships at the beginning and just use them all to mine and you're good.
Every ship costs you $1,000. And there's a limit, thanks to Chris Brown, of 2,000 ships because he created 500,000 ships one year. So now that I've converted some money there, now I'm going to create, actually now I'm going to upgrade, because those ones that are mining, they're mining, but they're not doing a great job of it. So I want to upgrade their prospecting abilities. I've gone through. Now my mining will actually be a lot better. I'll get a lot more resources from that planet every tick of the game. Now, let's build our exploring ship. That was easy.
How frequently are ticks?
Ticks in the general public game range anywhere from 1 minute to 15 minutes, because the game runs everyone's scripts on their behalf for them, which can sometimes take some time. In this game, in the 1v1 version, a tick takes 3 seconds. So it's a lot faster pace. So now that I've created my ship, I want to find out which planet should I actually go and conquer. So this query is just taking my explorer ship and comparing it to all the planets around and finding the one that's closest that I don't own. So there it is right there, planet number 5, which is at 0.00. So now I'm going to update my state of that ship to start heading towards that. Great. And at the same time, I'm also setting its state to mine that planet. Now that planet's not in range yet, so it's really just going to fail at mining until it gets there. But at least once it gets there, the first thing it will try and do once it's in range is mine that planet. Now why that's important is mining a planet is actually how you conquer it, just like real life. So once it gets there, I'll now win that planet, and then hopefully I'll beat the other player who might come in and try and mine it too. So if we both try and mine that planet, and it's just 1v1, well, I'm going to end up keeping it. But if he sends 20 ships and I only have 15 ships there, then he's going to actually conquer that from me.
Would he lose 15 of his ships?
No, there isn't. If you want to kill ships, there are attack functions that you can use, but just mining the planet more won't destroy any ships. Right now my ship's going super slow though, so I'm actually going to upgrade a couple things on that. And then after I upgrade it, I'm just going to run this again because I'm going to update that target max speed. You can tell I wrote this 5 minutes ago. I'm sorry, everyone. There we go. Just going to see how my ship is doing here. So it's on its way. Slowly getting there. And if I upgrade it again, oh, that was the wrong one. Upgrade it a couple times. Why not? Great. Now, because it's space, my ship actually needs some fuel to slow down, so I'm just going to make sure that I actually have fuel. Once I remember. Current fuel is 0. Great. Thank you. Great. So now let's take a look at planets. Maybe I got there. Looks like it.
There's been a change to the rules as to how you get the initial location. I think I was out of the conversation. What puts you on a planet at first?
What puts you on a planet at first? Your home planet is just, you get one to begin with. And when you insert into it, and when you create a ship, yeah. Yeah, you weren't in the room, so I ended up just creating a game with myself. Let me start with you. So, as you're going along, there's also an events table, which, if you're a robot, you probably like it like this, where it's just all the details of the game. But if you're a human, this way might be a bit more interesting. Now, once the time is done, the game runs a bunch of trophies in the back end, which are just pgSQL scripts, what just tries to figure out who actually did the best. In the game, it's not necessarily about conquering every planet. It's about having a balanced game, so you want to have good ships, upgraded ships. You want to attack and try not to get killed as much. It's just all about fully rounded gameplay. There is also one trophy that there's no way to get, which is the SQL injection trophy. There are a couple people with it on the main game, There's potentially probably a couple of people who should have it but didn't think to give it to themselves. They did other things to screw with the game instead. I'm still kind of researching a couple weird situations that have occurred in the game. But that's pretty much Schemaverse. So, is there any questions? Yes.
Yeah, so I created an account on SchemaVersus and plugged into it with pgSQL, but I had some problems. Like, I don't have permission to reach from the event table. When I do this home planet query, I don't get home planet.
So in the SchemaVersus one, unless you're actually in that round, you don't really get to see too much. So I'll build that in the ladder. If you'd like, I can quickly add you to a round. But that's the unfortunately, I mean, I would love for there to be multiple battles going on at once, but the game just doesn't support that at this point. Let's see here. Now, other points, the game is on GitHub. So if you want to actually go and find the code and find those bugs, it's definitely there. Come on. GB user what's your username? QDW. All right, I'm going to make you play Chris. Uh, 15 versus 11. There. So round just started between you and Chris. Hopefully you can now see things like planets. Otherwise, got other problems to solve. Select star from planet. Any other questions?
How do you win in game?
How do you what?
How do you win?
How do you win?
Yeah.
Round takes roughly 10 minutes in this case. You win by getting the so again, it goes through all the trophies, and the trophies either award a positive or negative amount of points. The person with the highest amount of points from the trophies wins. It is common to get a negative score and still win, because you have the least negative score. The game is hard, I'm not going to lie, but it's hard for everyone, so it's not usually a problem. Any other questions? Okay.
Mind limit is the number of ships you can have.
Sorry?
What's mind limit?
Yeah, so that is the number of ships that can mine a planet at any given time. So generally, a strategy is on your home planet, you want to build at least 30 ships there. That way someone else can't come in and overmine that easily and take your home planet from you. The most common problem on the public server for new players is that they create their account and they create it like in the afternoon. A round generally starts in the morning. So by the time they create their account in the afternoon and then they go to create their first ship, they've already lost their home planet. And then they're like, well, I'm doing this insert statement. What am I doing wrong? Like, this is my first time doing SQL, and is my insert statement wrong? And it's like, well, no, it's just that you got your butt kicked, like, really quickly. Now, the game, when you're actually creating accounts, the only thing you need is a username and password. There's no emails. I don't worry about, like, password reset questions. I don't want your name. I don't really care who you are. So the easiest thing to do in that scenario is actually just create another user account, which gets you another home planet, and then try and create ships a little faster. Trying to find a better thing for new players, but it's unfortunately difficult.
Actually, it strikes me that it would be a neat idea to add a constraint that your initial planet can't be taken over until you've at least created one ship. There would be a run of justice in this.
Yeah.
You have 30 seconds after getting your home.
Yeah, there's a bunch of different ways. I mean, the SchemaVersus thing is kind of one of the ways I'd like to go towards if I can have multiple games going at the same time. Because in this case, so I kind of touched on it earlier, there is an internal scripting system to the game, or you can actually write your scripts externally as well, whatever you feel. So with the SchemaVersus one, there's actually people who have scripts already. So if I wanted right now, after this round is done, I can just set up a round involving two people who I know have scripts set up, and that round will just take place. Similarly, we could create a bot that's a little bit easy to deal with and have that as what a new player first faces off against. That way, it doesn't kick their butt initially. It actually, just kind of toys with them a bit, but allows them to learn the game. It's certainly an option, not enough hours in the day. Is anyone interested in playing the SchemaVersus this week? Nice. Some hands. That's good to see. Is anyone horrified of it? Great.
Awesome!
I agree. I mean, I started building this just as a way to see if I could make Postgres that application layer that it seems to be so full-featured to actually pull off. I'm a security guy, so I wanted to find out if, as a user on the database, can I actually secure it in a way that it's not a problem? I remember talking to the Postgres mailing list and asking, how am I going to secure this in a way that allows it to be open on the internet? And the first answer was, dear God, don't. And I think the second, third, and fourth answer was roughly the same. But it generally holds up pretty well.
Something along the lines of good luck.
Yeah. Well, one person was very nice and suggested I enable SSL. That way, the attacker is at least secure in their connection to the server.
What might be interesting is perhaps the person's actual reasonable, viable reason to stop it. Have each game launch its own Docker container. Basically goes, poof, and it's done.
Yeah, that'd be a good way of doing it. When there was that minor security issue a little while back, I actually wasn't really informed of what's going on, but I did have at least one person suggest that I take down my server in preparation, which is very kind of them. I do love this community. But I ended up leaving it on for a couple months anyways. And it was within, I think it was under 24 hours of it actually being announced, the box had been hacked. So that was pretty impressive. But it was just, someone just wrote a nice little message into the folder saying, hey, you should really like patch this. But then I left it and I brought it to DEF CON and no one touched it for some reason. So I guess so. I like leaving the easy ones though, because use it, it's funny, but oh well. I do have a minor hope one day that it becomes a bit of a honeypot. We'll see what happens. I think I need to tie it in with like winning Bitcoin or something. That way there's some monetary reason to want to actually perform well. Let's see how this round is going.
Oh, we're just poking around at things. You should go attack something.
I will also say the map is very, very small, so it's worth looking into increasing the range of your ship. Movement in the game is always the most difficult part for some reason. Sometimes you don't need to move, though.
It took me a month, it took me over a month to get near enough to a planet to conquer it. And that was a month of reprogramming.
Yeah.
At default speed, it will take you 3 games worth of ticks to get to the first planet. You need to upgrade it to the ship to make it faster.
Yeah, the game's come a long way in 5 years. It actually is 5 years old this year, which I'm pretty happy about. Movement has been rewritten, I think, 7 times by 7 separate people. It's generally the first thing someone does when they get into the game. They're like, oh, by the way, we should rewrite move. And it's like, go ahead, go ahead. Usually 3 days later, it's like, I get it. No, that makes sense. I'm never touching that again.
So what's controlling the actual, I guess, moving of your ships? Is there a script reading the database and like nudging ships along?
Yeah, so I do lie a bit. There's 3 scripts in the back end, all Perl. There's referee. And referee kills long-running queries. As a user, you can't have a query running longer than a minute. There is statement timeout in the PostgreSQL, but that's a user settable value, so it's not something I could rely on. Then there's stats, which just quickly updates the stats. So as you're playing, you've got easy access to some things. And then finally, there's the tick.perl. And tick.perl moves all, or like progresses all ships in the direction that they're going, mines all planets. Because when you mine a planet, it doesn't actually happen instantly. It happens at the end of a tick. That way, everyone has a chance to mine. So mine planets. Then it goes through and runs all the scripts, the internal scripts that you can leave. And then basically just does it all over again.
Resolves attacks.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, yeah. Attacks happen to future health, and then that gets all committed.
Ships get, if the ship is dead for long enough,
Yeah.
it's dead.
Yeah. Yeah, that your ship can be without health for a couple ticks, and then it explodes. Now, the game also might need some tweaking. This is the first time we're doing it with 3-second ticks, so some of those numbers might need to be expanded a little bit. But it's fine. All in good fun. Now, I haven't set it up yet. I'm hoping to get it up and running soon. A lot of people have written amazing like visualizers and stuff like that too. Yeah, I'll actually bring one up for the main round because that's just fun to watch. Sure, this one will work. So this is what the main public database actually looks like. What's happening here? Each of those dots are a planet. The moving dots are ships. You can start to see some of the different strategies that take place. Again, you've only got 2,000 ships, but there's about 11,000 planets in the system, so you can't hold them all at the same time. So you'll see he's kind of branching out a little bit, but someone's sending in some ships to kind of screw him over from the inside. People do neat things when you put a database open on the internet. Like, free data. Let's visualize it.
I'm going to have to guess that's not good. Select count star from my ships says 0.
Someone might be killing. Oh, that might just be the end of the round. So we can see who won that. Chris won. So yeah, I'm hoping to talk to the guy who did this and get him to visualize the smaller rounds as well. There's another one that's, so this one gets generated and then you just post the file afterwards. There's another map that shows kind of more real time of what's going on. So I've got to set that up still, but the day is young. So yeah, that's any other questions, suggestions? Yeah.
Are you going to announce the matchups?
Yeah, so once I find out who actually wants to play and I can like build a ladder, if there's any times you like really don't want to play, please like include that or tell me, and I'll try and get all that set up so you're not missing a talk that you want to see or something. What I'll probably try and do is either use the time in between talks, so that's not a problem, or a little bit of time after talks before we all hit the bar. Or if someone wants to play at the bar, that's fine too. But yeah, I'm happy to work around everyone's schedule. 10 minutes is easy to get in.
It seems like there are a lot of functions or queries that you would want to script that could take a while to do. Are there libraries out there?
There's some out there. Some of them are a little bit outdated. But there is definitely one. I think it's schemaverse.com/gettingstarted.sql with capital G, capital S. And that's an example of a bunch of different fleet scripts you can just run quickly. It's not a good script, but it's an example of it. The internal scripting system is all PL, pgSQL. So you've got to kind of be familiar with that. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you for your time. Again, SchemaVersus.com or Josh@SchemaVerse. Where's my PowerPoint? There we go. If you want to compete, head over there, create an account, and then email me. Notice that those are two different domains. So I'm a jerk. Again, easiest thing might just be to come find me. Or usually anyone running this show knows who I am, so they'll point you towards me if you forget what I look like. Or I'll find you. Also, again, big thanks to Josh Burkus for creating the mug, which is awesome.